can you see this person's perspective,
Right.
but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Hello.
Hello. We have got a very interesting show today. And I'm going to use a little, there might be a few words that we have to explain to some people, and some people will know them because they're used in certain rooms, and some people won't know what we're talking about. Taking somebody else's inventory, being an enabler. And we understand those words when it comes to substances. I mean, we've heard those, well, if you're in a relationship with an alcoholic, you enable them, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm just talking about, I think there are a lot of people out there like me who have been an enabler of other people's bad behavior. And we've tried to placate the person to keep the peace when they're just plain being not so nice. But we put up with it because we don't want to upset the apple cart. We put ourselves in the back seat and we don't say anything. We don't say, don't treat me that way, because we don't want to start a fight and we don't want the eggshells to break. I want to open that up. And I know that you're really good at handling those situations and those kinds of people. And today there might be, as Teri says, this might sting a little. There's some of those people, and I need this today. When we enable bad behavior from people, it hurts us. And then we spend all our time trying to either placate them or control them or correct them to control the situation, that we don't spend the time on ourselves. And our character flaws go unnoticed, and we don't work on ourselves. And we're basically unhappy. We spend our whole life basing our happiness on whether that other person we're trying to control is either happy or not angry or not using. And so let's talk about that. Is it the codependency life cycle?
Well, first question I would have for someone is, what are you getting out of it? What are you getting out of trying to control? What are you getting out of trying to placate? What are you getting out of trying to, this will sting. What are you getting out of betraying and abusing yourself in order to keep an abuser happy? What are you getting out of that? I shared with you, I've had clients before that have, they'll say, well, I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to change that. I know I'm not going to change that. I don't want to change it. I like helping people. Uh-huh. I'm like, there's a big difference in helping people and putting yourself on a pedestal where you're the only person that can help another person. Because a lot of times very unqualified people try to help people, and it causes more diabolically, it causes more issues for those people than they could ever imagine. And when that, pardon the language, shit can pops open, it is like trying to stuff biscuits back in a can. It ain't gonna happen. And you have choices to make. When my client that I had worked with for a handful of months just very honestly said, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested in doing that. And I said, well, it's been a pleasure working with you. I mean, because at that point, it's not about me. It's about, they're going to waste their time and their energy and their money. If you know you're not going to change or shift or pivot from something that is unhealthy for you, then okay, you don't have to, but you run the risk of destroying yourself in the process.
Well, we got a bunch of people who are joining us. Elizabeth is here today, and Corinne and Jennifer. Jan is with us. Michelle Henry is with us, and Suzanne and Mark down in Alabama are with us. Thank you guys for being here. If you guys have a comment or you are affected by this, I've noticed a lot of times And there's the superhero complex. I was reading about that this morning too. The superhero complex. We feel like it's like you said, I'm the only one who stuck by them. I'm the only one. And I always call it, and this was said a lot of times, the George and Nancy Jones, when George Jones was drinking, that Nancy saved his life and she did this and she, and she might have, she's my cousin. Hey, cousin. Nancy very well might have been the person that saved his life. But I will guarantee you, if George had not wanted to make the change, there was nothing she was going to do about it. I mean, you can't change someone's bad behavior. You can't do it. You can try. And when we are constantly watching somebody else's behavior, what is it? When you put lipstick on a pig, it does nothing for the pig and and then it makes the pig mad, and it's still a pig. Everybody still knows it's still a pig, and it pisses off the pig. Nanette Coffee says she's still unloading a U-Haul, and Susanna Mark said, it's me. And Elizabeth says, it's hard to look at our role and what we get out of enabling others. That's it right there. I've learned what I get out of it is typically looking like a good person to others. Like I'm such a nice person to help others. The superhero complex.
Right. And that doesn't, that'll get us so far. Doing something because you genuinely want to do it and because you enjoy doing it, that's one thing. A lot of people get that twisted in their head and they'll say, well, I just love helping. I love doing this. And it's like, do you really love it? Because you're saying you love it, but then you're also saying you feel disrespected and you feel like you're not appreciated and you feel like you just are so exhausted, but I just love doing it. Get clear and get transparent and be honest with yourself. Why do you do it? Elizabeth has a great point there. People oftentimes do it because one, they love doing it, but two, on the backside, they can share with other people that they've done something, and it does really make them, not only does it make them feel better, it makes them look better in other people's eyes. We, in our social media frenzy that we have these days, I think there's a double-edged sword there to doing good deeds and sharing, and then also doing good deeds because you're going to share.
Right.
I think there's many good deeds that are,
that's really good.
There are many good deeds done to help others that don't need to be announced to the world. You don't need the world. If you're secure in yourself, you don't need the world to know that you've helped somebody. You don't need it. You don't need anyone to know that, but you and that other person.
Elizabeth shares, it gets us feeling wrung out, exhausted, and twisted up, especially when we're doing it for those who are abusive or narcissistic or just take. And it is true. And
absolutely.
I had a friend who said, well, I just jerked a knot in his tail. I went and poured out all the alcohol. And I did this and I did that. And I'm just going to say, I'll take his phone. I'll take his whatever, and, this was years ago when I was in a meeting and this conversation went by, and then we all just kind of listened. But then I asked the question, it's like, well, did that work? No, it didn't work. And it really caused some anger, and it caused a lot of problems. And we don't need to spend all of our time so much of our time trying to control somebody else's actions. Then our character flaws and our actions kind of go untethered, unhandled, undealt with. We can spend a lot of time working on somebody else. It's even scriptural. I'm so busy with pointing out the splinter in your eye when I've got a boulder in mine, that.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that it does when we're trying to take over agency over someone else's poor choices, and I prefer to call them healthy or unhealthy choices, not good and bad, because depending on the person, there are some experiences and life experiences that I do believe that people have to go through, and they might be good or they might be bad, but they are experiences that people are they're necessities to go through in order to continue evolving and growing. So I think that when a person gets into that place where they are completely taking agency and ownership over another person's unhealthy choices, what's happening is they are just perpetuating and solidifying the next round of chaos for them. Because taking someone who has a bonding with alcohol and pouring all of their stuff out and, taking away their phone and pretending like you're going to be the boss of them. Well, one, you're not, because anyone that has ever had anything to do or knows anything about alcoholism or any other bonding or addiction that people have, you're not going to be the person that's going to snap them out of that. Two, you're just setting yourself up to have to go harder the next time. And eventually you deplete yourself. And a lot of people will say, well, then if I'm doing that, no one really sees what's going on in my kitchen, like what food I'm burning over here. But the reality is no one has to see the food you're burning. They'll smell it. They'll see it in your energy. They'll see it in the way you show up. They'll see it in the way you micromanage. Because if you can't control one pocket over here in your life, I guarantee you're going to try to control the crap out of other stuff, and it will make you crazy and neurotic. And then no one says, well, I did this to myself. They blame it on the person that they decided to control.
Exactly. Well, I just don't have time. I'm too busy taking care of your stuff. Okay. Why is that? And I will tell y'all that Teri, when I first started seeing Teri, she made me madder than a wet hen when she says, I know, but what are you getting out of it? I know, but what you're getting out of it. I don't know if you remember that, but that's the first time. I don't get angry, but I saw some red during that moment. I'm like, what? I'm being abused. I'm being, blah, 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 blah. What are you getting out of it?
This is being done to me. And it's like, But if you're standing in front of the crossbow, and you get shot with the arrow, move your booty over a little bit outside of the crosshairs,
Understanding. Yes, and understanding you always have a choice. You always have a choice. Wherever you are, you have a choice. Jen says, if you're genuine and do help for the right reasons, then there's no reason for boastfulness or announcing it to everyone. How true that is. Suzanne and Mark, I just stopped by to see what condition my condition was in. Y'all have a blessed day. Hey, I got to run. We love you, Suzanne and Mark. Corinne says, going to take a much needed nap. Hope to catch y'all next week. Corinne has moved to Florida, and she's in that. I know that if in Middle Tennessee it's around 100 degrees, in Florida it's bound to be just holy moly. So it's so good to see you, Corinne. Elizabeth says, no one but me as an alcoholic can deter me from drinking by pouring out my booze. The only person who has had control was a person who told me that my consequences would be for drinking again. I believe this consequence would be real because this person doesn't make idle ultimatums. It wasn't controlling. It was saying, but here's what's going to happen,
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I talk with clients all the time about boundaries, consequences. And if we are in a lesser mindset, we see that as, you're picking on me and you're trying to control me and you're trying to this and this and this. So, someone that says to you, these are the consequences if you drink again. And they put that ball in your court, or these are the consequences if you lie to me again, or these are the consequences if you hit me again, or these are the consequences if I see you mistreating your children or your dog or your parent again, or these are the consequences if you're late for work again. Whatever they are, laying them out very clear takes away the ability to be hijacked into victimhood, because telling someone and knowing that you're not just, how many people have kids or know people who have kids who have heard this? Don't make me tell you again. I'm not going to tell you again. Don't make me tell you again. I swear they are driving me crazy. Don't make me tell you again. I'm not going to tell you again. That is detrimental. Because, and I'm not saying lay the law down and knock your kid into next week or whatever. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying get eye to eye with a person and say, here's consequence. If this happens again, this is going to happen. You know, if you continue to do this, this will happen. And stick to that. I'm not saying be abusive, but I'm saying stick to that. And people will, they know that if you are not just talking out of both sides of your mouth, they listen. They may not always act. May not always make that pivot that, you know, you might want them to make, but at least they know this person is a straight shooter for me. They're going to tell me, I'm going to listen, I'm going to choose. And if I choose and then they leave, they walk out of my life, or they distance themselves from me, or they, whatever it is, then that's my choice. That's my choice to do that. So trying to take agency over someone else's life and bully them into living the way you think they should live it's horrible.
And here's where the magic that does start to happen. I really think it's amazing when you start taking a personal inventory of things of yours that can be better. Your personal inventory of this might be a character flaw. And a lot of us don't see, here's the thing that people don't see is controlling. That woman who has her spouse, her significant other, and waits on them hand and foot. I mean, they rattle their ice in their tea glass, and that, you know, I mean, I come from a long line of women who ran with the iced tea pitcher and ran for this and cooked all the special meals and just worked themselves into, but I do this for you and I do this for you, and you will never work your way into keeping someone who doesn't want to stay faithful or there. You will never work your way into that. I don't care how good you are. And what you will work yourself into is a hell of a resentment. You know, when that person who is determined to be unfaithful or doesn't want to be with you or whatever, if somebody wants to leave, for one, let them, you know, don't try to keep someone who's really wanting to leave. Number two, you're not going to earn someone's faithfulness or love.
Okay. And I would go so far as to say this. When you say, if someone wants to leave, let them, we don't even have control over that. Because what they're doing is they're staying to keep sucking the life out of you. They don't want to leave. They want to stay, and they want to see you grovel. Stop groveling. Stop.
You have a choice in this. You have a choice in that's that person who the person is determined to stay and make you feel that way. I was talking about the person who's already said, I'm going to divorce, or I want out. I don't want to be here anymore. And
then they will leave. If they really want to be gone, they will go.
But those
people want to see
make your life hell.
Yeah, but if they want to see how much you will bend, they will stay, and they will keep telling you, I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm leaving, I'm leaving. Call their bluff. And then question yourself, why in the world would you want to stay with somebody who treats you poorly and doesn't want to be with you? And
not only stay, but do their laundry.
I mean, I get why people do it, because nature versus nurture.
Elizabeth says, repeated ultimatums with no actual consequence or follow through simply teaches us we can get by with whatever it is. Jen says, putting the ball back in their court so they control it, and whatever they do with it determines their consequence, whether it's a good consequence or a bad one. I like that too.
And really, what is a bad consequence, right? So say if you say to someone, if you do this again, if you don't do this again, then I'll stay. If you do this again, I'm leaving. And so the bad consequence may be if they do it again, you're leaving. But what if you leave and they actually do the work they need to do to be a better, healthier human being? Then it's really not a bad consequence. It's actually a good consequence.
Yeah.
We as human beings like to think we are special.
Yeah. I wanted the credit for getting somebody clean. I wanted that credit.
See, and that honesty and that transparency is, I think, beautiful, because that honesty and that transparency allows you to know this is what I need to work on. Because
Exactly.
I'm good enough without the credit for taking care of this other person. I'm good enough just how I am. But a lot of times we want that credit of fixing, helping that other person. I got tickled. A client sent me something the other day in the mail, or not in the mail, but in social media, and it said, I have to think about it. It said something like, therapist said to me, I think you have a habit of collecting broken people and trying to fix them. And I said to my therapist, I think you do too. And I thought that was the funniest thing, because I was like,
right on.
I was like, there you have it, But there's a difference in working in a healthy parameter with people, knowing how to honor yourself, knowing how to honor that person. If you are trying to make a person see their value, you can't make them see their value. You have to offer experiences and opportunities for them to expose their value. They have to see it for themselves. Otherwise, they'll go through life saying, I see it, I see it, I see it, but they'll still be making really unhealthy choices, getting in unhealthy relationships, having unhealthy bondings with people, places, things, all of that.
Yeah. I always say, roll it, unwrap the thread, just pull the thread off the spool. When you get to where the spool is attached by that little piece of tape to that little piece of thread, you get to the bottom of why we do what we do. And when I was trying to earn my gold star for being a good person and saving someone from the whatever, I want you to ask yourself, and even if you need us to keep a journal, when you have a negative thought that comes in your head, I can't fit into these jeans anymore. I am so fat. I wish I hadn't eaten that. Man, I wish I was more organized. I wish I didn't procrastinate. When you hear a negative voice, first of all, identify who the voice is, who's speaking that voice to you. Is it your voice, or is it your mother, a father, a friend who was a bully in school? It starts way back. Usually. A spouse. And usually that spouse is a mirror to someone even earlier than that in your life. I always say we repeat a bad relationship over and over and over, thinking we might get it right the next time. If we had a bad relationship with our mother, we find someone with exactly the same personality and try to fix it with them. If I was I'll be better next time and it will work better. That ain't never going to happen. But if you look at what the negative voice is, that tells you why you keep trying to save people or keep trying to. And sometimes our saving is actually controlling, and we rob that person of the chance to be a hero to themselves. We rob it. We rob them.
That is, I say that so often to people. When you step in and take agency over someone else's experience, yes, we don't want to see people that we love suffer, right? But when you step in, and there's a difference in guiding someone in a healthy way to get help, to get support, there's a healthy way of doing that. And then there's that way of, I'm going to pour the alcohol out. I'm going to go sleep on the floor by their bed and make sure they don't get out of bed. I'm going to monitor their phone. I'm going to put Live 360 on their phone so I can see where they go, everywhere they go, so I can monitor them. That's too much. You're hijacking somebody's life at that point. But when you step in and you do that second part, when you step in and you do that, you take away the opportunity for that person to evolve, to grow, to see their own value, to figure it out. A lot of times people are in these, and they don't even have to be an addict to substance. They can just be a person that just can't make a decision. I don't know where I want to eat. I don't know if I need to leave this job. I don't know if I need to leave this relationship. I don't know what I need to do. I don't know. Tell me. Those folks, and we've all been there a time or two in our life, but folks that get in a historical pattern, they are used to people stepping in and taking agency, ownership over their choices. So they look to people to make choices for them. And if you're looking for someone to make choices for you, you're foregoing the gifts that the universe or God has put in you to see to fruition, because you're going to start living your life for other people, doing what they want you to do, showing up how they want you to show up.
Exactly. Right on the money. Elizabeth says, my bottom line for me is that it's always okay to walk away from anyone who is an energy sucker and a negative Nelly. That's the other thing, is those negative criticizers, those people that they're always calling you with something isn't right. And just like, well, they did blah, 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 blah. They're just jerks and blah, 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 blah. And it's always something negative. Whew. That is an energy suck. I will no longer, ever stick around to let those folks drag me into a negative world with them. Amen to the hallelujah. And Joyce joins us today. I've threatened to leave forever with this drinking problem my husband has, but I keep staying out of love, loyalty, or whatever. And I'm a major fixer myself, but unable to fix him. Oh, I'm on Teri. You want to jump on that one?
Well, first, I'm going to ask Joyce if she's open to some feedback, because I don't want to jump on it and it be not well received. So if she's open to feedback, I'll give feedback on that.
Okay.
I think that many, and this is not the feedback I was going to give Joyce. This is additional feedback. I think that when we get into a place where we tell ourselves that, all right, girl. All right, I'm on it. You have to really get clear about what that loyalty looks like and what that love looks like. Because we can love, and I'm not questioning the love that you have for anyone, but I'm saying you have to get very clear on loving someone who is incapable of loving back, and being loyal to someone who is incapable of being loyal. Those, when you nailed it at the end, Joyce, when you said, I'm that people pleaser, that fixer. That's what has you staying, because he's the puzzle that you moved from one location to another. And now you can't find that damn puzzle piece, and you're looking for it and looking for it and looking for it. If you could just find that puzzle piece and stick it in there, things would be great. But you can't find the puzzle piece. And the reason you can't find the puzzle piece is because probably somebody hid the puzzle piece, because they don't want you to find it. And that goes back to the same thing that we talked about earlier. If you say, I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave. Over time, we say it enough. Don't treat me that way. Don't talk to me that way. Don't do this. Don't do that. And also with respect to the fact that people get married at young ages sometimes, and they have an entire life. They have children, they have grandchildren, they have an entire life with a person. It's not, this is going to sound contradictory. It's not easy to walk away from that, but it is easy to walk away from that.
That's a Terryism right there.
We get our attachment, and our pain in walking away is our attachment to the need to stay and fix. or stay and save face, or stay and be seen and validated.
I'll do enough, they will say nice things to me. I'll do enough, I'll get validated by them. I'll do enough, and I'll do enough. And the fact
And
is,
you
you've done
will.
enough.
They will say nice things. They will
Maybe,
pepper nice
yeah.
things. They'll pepper nice things. They'll do that occasionally. That's what we call breadcrumbing. They'll throw you a piece of breadcrumb out, but they will never ask you to sit and have a meal with them.
Joyce is going, oh my gosh, wow. And Jennifer's going, yes, yes, yes. You know, people have been there. Jen also says, when I finally did leave, he did become a better person. But if it took me leaving to make him better, then that better person was not meant for me.
Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right, Jennifer. Sometimes we think, you know, if I have clients tell me this all the time, but what if I leave and then they get better? Then you should be happy for them. Yeah. Because your person is out there, or maybe them getting better and healthier and circling back with some health, and well, them getting better and healthier, better. I don't like that word, but them getting healthier means we have to get healthier, right? So there's the difference. There's the person who says, I want you to get better, and I need you to get better. And if you don't, I'm going to have to leave. And then there's the person that says, I want you to get better, you know, kind of. But if you get better, then I don't have a job.
Ooh, y'all, that's big right there. If you get better, I won't have a job. Then you will have no reason to stay with me.
Right.
If you
because then, yeah. Yes.
Yes. Joyce says, absolutely. He paid my car off yesterday after some of his crazies. And that's a hell of a breadcrumb.
Right. Yeah.
And Joyce says, I just don't think it's fair if you leave and they get all better for someone else.
But here's the thing. Statistically, they're not going to get better for someone else. What they're going to do is they're going to meet someone else. And there you just said it. They get better for someone else. They're not going to get better for someone else. If they choose to get better for themselves, they will. And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow, that if someone gets better or healthier after they leave us, that maybe we were part of the problem. We don't like that, you know. And sometimes, let's just be real, sometimes we get together with people that we so desperately want to be in a relationship that we create a pseudo relationship. And, you know, there you go. Absolutely, Jennifer. Absolutely.
They may get healthier, but so will you.
Absolutely.
I love it when all of our people have their things and they bring them up. But we also have these there's so much wisdom in this. It's just, you know, Jen says, trust me, I know this 100%. My life has never been better. She does have the cutest grandbabies in the world. I'm going to say that right now. Her grandbaby is so cute. We're coming to the end of a broadcast day today, but it's been a fun topic. It's been a fun topic. Taking responsibility for our own part of our misery,
our unhappiness, our displeasure, our limited mindset, our inability to achieve a goal, whatever it is. I mean, I've worked with people that'll say they've been married for years and they'll say, well, I want to lose weight, but I can't lose weight because, you know, he or she just keeps bringing this junk food in the house. Stop blaming it on somebody else and keep your damn ass away from the cookies. Like, take ownership, you know, take ownership. And if you are with someone and you say, I want to be healthier, and they keep pulling the rug out from underneath your feet, you need to really look at, do you really want to get healthier? And if you're with someone who is not treating you with respect, I understand that nature versus nurture, you can grow up and you can be in toxic relationships and it can look normal because that's what you grew up with. But connect with that inner self and see if does it feel good to you?
Mhm.
Does it feel good when you cry yourself to sleep because they're isolating or not home or out doing whatever they're doing or lying or, does it feel good? Does it feel good to you to have to monitor someone to make sure they're not doing what you don't want them to do, even though this is their life? Sometimes people say, yeah, that feels good to me. Words
Getting a
are
lot of comments that we could do this for 2 hours and all day. Joy says, love y'all. So glad I remembered to get on today. Some really helpful stuff. So we're glad, Joyce. I think this is one of those
Absolutely.
topics that can roll around because we find ourselves playing the blame game. And whoever is the quote unquote good guy on paper can really leave that blame game frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm doing everything right. I'm just, I'm kicking butt. Why is this happening to me? I mean, whew. But
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get better if you blame. And if you start taking your own personal inventory, why am I here? Why am I putting up with this? Why is this okay with me? Okay, if it's not okay with me, you have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You can leave. You can choose to do something else. You can work on yourself. And if you can stay in a bad relationship and work on yourself, and the healthier you get, they're either going to leave themselves or they're going to start getting healthy themselves. But I mean, still, you are not responsible for their health and well-being. You're not. Jennifer says, you have to break the chain somewhere. It's a huge relief. And our last comment, Elizabeth says, I want to retain the healthy I brought to my life the past decade. I ain't giving it up for no one. Boundaries get made and stuck to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, as you guys and gals go through the rest of this week, a reflection work or a challenge for you is to really pay attention to when you insert yourself to help, where you like really assess the help that you say you're giving to someone and really assess their need for that help when they ask for it and you jump to do it. Like, and I'm not saying judge yourself or judge them. I'm saying just look at it and just make note of it. How often you do that. And then take it one step further. How often you do it, and then how often you complain about doing it later. I did this, this, and this, but they don't even respect me because da 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 da. Well, hello. Hello.
You're not respecting yourself.
Hello.
Enough of yourself. It's like you say, I am worth this, and let's, stop the negative talk within your own head. And that's another
Absolutely.
thing. Just stop your own negative talk. If you've got that recording that's back, and maybe it was a teacher or a buddy, a friend, a spouse, a old boyfriend, your mother, your father, anybody, your grandparent who was very influential in your life, saying something bad to you. If that is the tape, take the tape out and go get rid of it.
Well, and also be willing to take the tape out, but also be willing to do the work to take the tape out, because you have to be willing to recognize that it's deeper than just going, well, I'm just not going to be negative anymore, because there's a reason your brain has been programmed that way. And I will tell you, there is a book, and it's actually a book that I suggested to a client today. It just happens to be sitting here on my side. And for anyone who is interested, you could probably find it on Audible. But it's called Healing from Hidden Abuse, a journey through the stages of recovery from psychological abuse. That's what it looks like.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it's a really, it says psychological abuse leaves no bruises, no broken bones. There are no holes in the walls. The bruises, the brokenness, and the holes are held tightly within the target of the abuse. Now, this is a little off topic from what we've been talking about today, but this, we don't get to people pleasing, fixing, and trying to save the world without having gone through some neglect or some trauma. And when you get real clear on what that looks like and you start, you're not just superficially cleaning, just thinking positive thoughts. That's a superficial clean. We're spring cleaning the brain with this kind of stuff, getting down into the whys, the whys, and then the how.
We did have
the how to.
Yeah, we did have another book that Elizabeth recommended, The Untethered Soul.
That's a great one too.
She had some information from that. So take a look at the comments. We answer the comments wherever you're watching us. LinkedIn today, YouTube, and of course Facebook. People are all there joining us, and we appreciate you for being here every single week.
And I just have to say, every time we do this show and I see our little background, all I think about is twirling a baton.
I do too. I remember those little things that you put on the ends of your batons that were that color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think about twirling a baton. So okay, before we close for the day, just again, go back to that reflection work, make note, and then take it a little deeper. Do some self-discovery. Don't judge yourself by thinking, oh God, I got so much to do. We're all evolving, we're all growing, we're all learning, and it doesn't matter how much work you do or how little work you do, you always have the ability to continue to grow. And I can tell you, after years and years and years, no matter how much you invest in yourself, and you grow and you grow and you grow, you will always find that there's another level to grow to. So be kind to yourself along that journey. And until
the name of the book, Teri, the name of the book you mentioned again, please.
Healing from Hidden Abuse.
And if you will scroll up in this comment thread, Joyce, Elizabeth has put a link.
Awesome. Now I will tell you that a lot of times I always suggest a book, but I will do the audiobook, and if I really like the audiobook, I will buy the hard book, the hardback or hardcover paperback, because audiobooks are really a great respite for our brain when we're trying to take in new information, trying to figure things out. An audiobook is like a way of self-kindness. Someone is reading to you, so it feels very nurturing, and your brain actually, you can make notes and you can stop it and you can rewind it. And when you do that, when you're actually reading, a lot of people will read an entire paragraph and then they're like, I don't even know what I read. And that's because a lot of times their brain is just, it's way ahead of where they are. So audiobooks are wonderful.
They are.
So all of that to say, we will see y'all next Wednesday. And until then, do your reflection work, read you a little book or listen to a little book, start figuring out where you might want to set some boundaries and stepping away from some toxic people. And most importantly, doing all of that will assure you that you're increasing your peace.
I love it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.